Alright, this is a response to the video asking, do us ninjutsu practicers consider ourselves ninja? Um, First of all, let me say this. You have to understand what ninjutsu is. Uh, Ninjutsu, in the historical sense, which is the truest sense of the word, is not a martial art. Bujutsu, which is a general term meaning martial arts, or war arts, or the art of war, refers to not only hand-to-hand combat systems like Kempo and Jiu-Jitsu, weapons arts like Kinjutsu and Yari-Jitsu, also refers to strategy, tactics, things of that nature. Ninjutsu, the art of invisibility, or more specifically, the invisible art, refers to things done in secret, things that are done when no one is looking, things that should best be done invisibly. This refers to scouting, spying on your enemies, sabotaging your enemies' plans and strategies, and assassination of enemy spies, which would likewise be referred to as ninja or shinobis. Now, that being said, the concept of ninjutsu, of whether I would choose to call myself a ninja in the modern era, no, I won't. Uh, that was more a 15th, 16th century thing. The term, though generally meant as an insult in most martial arts forums, referring to neo ninjas. I consider myself a neo ninja. I've modernized my system. I would like to bring ninjutsu into the 21st century as both an art of espionage and a martial art and a combat science, if you will. Um, to do that, I have to teach martial arts initially as a way of developing discipline and toughening up the person studying ninjutsu so that they can go on to learn ninjutsu, which requires a great deal of discipline, psychological manipulation, strategy, being able to read intentions, tells, things like burglary, which is used to infiltrate an enemy's stronghold or camp and gather intelligence, deception, operating in the skies, things of that nature. That is ninjutsu. Now, I'm not going to argue whether it's traditional ninjutsu or modern ninjutsu since I've incorporated infantry tactics. You know, we train with katanas as much as we train with handguns and AR-15s and AK-47s, and I even have developed a sniper program. Uh, we make use of modern technology, radio communications, um, as well as uh, other things like signaling mirrors, signal using a lantern, as well as the internet, and a great deal of other things. We incorporate actual spy technology like bugs and micro cameras and recording devices, as much as miniature cameras for taking pictures of things, as much as we have incorporated um, into a traditional concepts such as intanjutsu and herbalism. Pyrotechnic devices again have been upgraded to include things like pipe bombs and homemade claymores, which the training in that area is very restricted. Um, so no, and as far as the concept of exchange, which you pointed out, that's existed before uh, a Frenchman came up with the term for it. Um, it's the concept of yin and yang, of Taoism, of the exchange of energy. The five element philosophy, it has an exchange. One element creates another element or destroys another element. There's an exchange, positive and negative exchange. Uh, we accept that. Now, to get around that, the idea of well, before I even get into this point, you talked about the shinobi gear, the ninja suit. The ninja suit is based off the idea of a kabuki stage handler's uniform, which is to garb them all in black. It's supposed to symbolize that they are invisible, and therefore the audience should ignore them. This allows them to move pieces of the set around and everything else while the actors are still acting. Uh, During the Edo period, after the Warring States period, this became the symbol of the ninja. Since the stage handlers were invisible on stage, the ninjas or the shinobi were invisible in politics and warfare, but they still influenced everything. They set the stage for the armies and the commanders and the politics to be played out for everyone else. Now, that being said, you talked about things like DNA, skin fibers. There's ways of getting around this. For example, and to be realistic, most ninjas were in fact using things like disguises, even in the feudal period, more so than wearing the little black uniform. Uh, so there's ways of beating the electronics and the equipment, not just killing the power, which cuts off the closed circuit TV and everything else, but we also get into the idea of freaking, which is a term used for repurposing electronic devices to do other things, such as turning a handheld or a telephone handset to a regular house phone into a line phone, like people who work for phone companies use it to communicate and make phone calls through phone lines from phone towers or along phone lines. Um, the idea of repurposing walkie talkies and CBs to be used as espionage devices, listening devices. Again, uh, that's an element which also has to be studied. To a small extent, computer hacking. Some people specialize in this more than others. Um, all these things have to be taught or understood at a very basic level. Um, even down the lock picking and burglary, because those are the things that are done in secret. That is the ninjutsu. Uh, to take this even further, um, when you're talking about DNA evidence and all this other stuff, I can fold up newspapers or notebook paper and put it in the heels of my shoes to raise my height a few inches. Okay, if the video camera shows me at 5 foot six, wearing combat boots with a inch heel, and uh, I'm at 5 foot seven, 5 foot 8 with that 1 inch heel to it. And it's because I've placed something there at my heel folded up like paper to raise my height even more, then it gives me the appearance of being taller than what I am. So that video camera showing me at a certain height doesn't work. Again, you have wigs and uh, ways of changing the colors on your face. I mean, you can use certain compounds to put on particularly liquid latex. You can put it on the palm of your hand and erase your fingerprints temporarily. So you can go and commit something and still have that tactile sensation of the hands or the majority of it, but not leave any fingerprints. Again, liquid silicone can also be used to cover up, to keep your skin from flaking off. Hair nets can be used to cover, the head. Uniforms, field uniforms, if you use them, can be thrown away. Disguises can be thrown away or burned, all of which disposes of the physical evidence of you onto that particular items. You can also go in and leave false leads or uh, use, certain elements from certain uh, brought in from other locations to draw attention to that other location away from where you're at, that misdirection. So simply because there's an exchange doesn't necessarily mean the exchange is going to be an honest exchange. The idea, and it's usually used as an insult. Like I said, that neo ninja concept is usually used as an insult. Uh, I don't really see it as an insult. I'm more accepting of this. If someone wants to call me a neo ninja, I'm cool. If they want to call me a ninjutsu practitioner, a ninjutsuka, I'm cool with that as well. If you want to call me a ninja, fine, whatever. Um, your definition of me really doesn't matter. I'm a person who practices a particular set of skills uh, in a certain regard to personal gain because I do teach martial arts and I do teach ninjutsu and I do benefit from that teaching. But I also apply it to certain things, to events in my life, uh, to as a way of seeking my own self perfection, if you will. So there's more to it than just that concept. And the idea of a being a retainer or a samurai uh, who has dedicated himself to a particular lord or a particular family who is trained in ninjutsu and applies that, well, that wouldn't be much different than a covert agent or a spy, um, a covert agent, basically. It wouldn't be any different from really a yakuza or a mafia enforcer who has training in these things. It wouldn't be any different than a private investigator. Uh, in fact, the uh, the the current head of my ninjutsu system, Moto Kiyoshi, is he teaches jujitsu and budo, but you still learn ninjutsu as part of that. You don't really learn it until around black belt. So once you have a shodan, then you start learning the ninjutsu aspect of it. His brother, by contrast, who has the same training as him, and both their training comes from their father, uh, who he takes that ninjutsu training, instead of teaching it as part of a martial arts curriculum included that you have a martial art with that, he actually applies it towards a security company, doing private investigation, setting up security for other businesses and companies and things of that nature. Um, Protecting against corporate espionage and things of that nature. So the idea that the skills of ninjutsu are limited uh, to historical context doesn't really apply because the principles are always there for adaptation and modification. But the idea that ninjutsu is one particular style of martial art or attached to one particular style of martial art is again false as well, because ninjutsu itself isn't even a martial art. So a person can study Brazilian jiu-jitsu and aikido and taekwondo and sambo or savat or I mean, even Muay Thai, American kickboxing, everyone to think of it, and still be able to learn or apply that as what builds the foundation for discipline for learning the more espionage related practices. And when it comes to ninjutsu, I mean, you do have that. Its primary goal is espionage. That includes scouting techniques, as well as infiltration and psychological manipulation. Sabotage is more than just burning something down or putting a monkey wrench into the system to cause something to break down. It's also psychological manipulation, causing people to set themselves up for failure. Uh, uh, the idea of assassination isn't to go out and kill the enemy's leader as much as it is to basically covertly remove enemy spies who are gathering information and sabotaging your own plans and strategies. Uh, so there's a lot more to it than simply saying, oh, it's a martial art. And there's a lot more to it than just calling it espionage. And to say that the ninja no longer exists, well, we don't really know. In the case of the style I study, none of this has been proven to me. None of it's been verified through independent third-party sources. But I was told my ninjutsu system comes from uh, was is passed along a family and was passed along this family line from parent to child, parent to child. I do know that uh, both Moto Kiyoshi and his brother, who doesn't want to be named publicly because where he does do security work, um, doesn't they have taught their sons, and what they do with it is their own thing. I learned it because uh, Moto Kiyoshi's niece was married to a friend of mine who had learned ninjutsu from his father-in-law when he and his wife left Japan, and her father wasn't very happy about him marrying or about her marrying an American. And when his daughter kicked my ass in the eighth grade, I was kind of a little amazed, and then come to find out that oh well, Dad taught me this, so I kind of got brought into it that way. And I'm not really worried about lineage or tradition or anything like that because I was told to modernize the system. That what they gave me was a gift. They gave me the gift of knowledge. I have two options with that gift. I can either put that gift away and say, look at me, I have this beautiful gift, this thing that looks really cool that I want you all to see, or I can use that gift, which means that I'm going to have to adjust it and modify it and make it my own, which is what I've chosen to do, which is why I include modern firearms training, some concepts of things like the ideas of freaking, knowing how to tap phone lines, uh, alter electronic devices to make improvised debugs, things like that, which has been incorporated with the stuff that I'm already very heavily aware of in my other uh, training. So and I've been able to use some of these principles myself when I was in the army. Not so much in the way that I wanted to uh, free run with them, but able to adapt them a little bit, working as a scout in headquarters uh, to fulfill certain needs and goals that I needed. And I've used them as a team leader. Uh, Especially any veteran who sees this will know what I'm talking about. Anybody who's ever had to do an NCO's job will know what I'm talking about. You always have those dumbass privates who try to, do something stupid and then get up on you by lying to you and everything else. So being able to tell when a person is lying uh, really isn't. It really came into being a valuable asset. More importantly, I had a situation where I had to deal with three people. Two guys were lying because they were responsible for stealing another person's stuff, and they tried to blame it on this other guy. And everybody's pointing fingers at the other guy, and it was that ability to read body language and everything else, which led to me saying I didn't believe it. And when it was taken before the first sergeant and the company commander, and they asked for my input, I told them. Uh, they went and searched the room and recovered the stolen property, which was in the other two guys' room who were pointing the fingers at the other guy, and uh, that whole situation played out. The principles aren't just for sneaking in and taking people out in little black suits and wielding swords and doing backflips off walls and throwing smoke bombs and vanishing into thin air. That's all Hollywood. The reality of the matter is a lot more subtle. And if you do it properly, no one will ever know you were there or that you had any influence on the situation. It just seems to have happened that way to your benefit. You might call it luck or divine intervention. Just like the term ninja. I don't care if you call me ninja, shinobi, whatever. Everybody else calls me Ron. That works.